the banker who brought down the Russian Empire. Picture this: one man, sitting quietly in New York City, no army, no throne, no crown. Just a pen, a checkbook, and a burning grudge. That man was Jacob Schiff, and with money as his weapon, he struck a blow that humiliated the mighty Russian Empire. This isn't just a tale of finance. It's about revenge, power, and how one banker changed the fate of nations. The world before the storm. The early 1900s. The globe was shifting. Europe's giants, Russia, Britain, Germany, wrestled for colonies and influence. But far in the east, a new force was rising: Japan. In only a few decades after the Meiji Restoration, Japan transformed from a feudal backwater into a modern industrial power, armed with warships, railroads, and a disciplined military. Russia, meanwhile, was a giant with feet of clay, vast and intimidating, but plagued by corruption, poverty, and inefficiency. The Tsar ruled with absolute power, while deep beneath the surface, the empire was rotting. And for Jews, Russia was a nightmare. Who was Jacob Schiff? Jacob Henry Schiff, born in Frankfurt in 1847, grew up in a Europe where Jews were second-class citizens. His father was a broker, and young Schiff learned the trade early. In the 1860s, he emigrated to America. In New York, he rose to the top of finance, becoming the head of Kuhn, Loeb and Company, one of Wall Street's most powerful banks. Publicly, Schiff was a respectable philanthropist, giving millions to schools, hospitals, and Jewish causes. But privately, he carried a lifelong hatred of the Russian Empire, for its pogroms, for its ghettos, for centuries of cruelty toward Jews. And soon, history would hand him a chance of payback. Russia versus Japan. The war ignites. In 1904, Japan stunned the world. Without even declaring war, its navy launched a surprise attack on Russia's fleet at Port Arthur. The Japanese military, modern, organized, and hungry, advanced rapidly. Russia, meanwhile, struggled to send reinforcement across its unfinished railroads. But Japan had a problem. Money, wars devour gold, and Japan's reserves were running dry. If no one lent them funds, the war would be over. Enter Jacob Schiff. Schiff's move. Through Kuhn, Loeb and Company, Schiff arranged massive loans, worth hundreds of millions in today's dollars, to finance Japan's war effort. This wasn't just business. Schiff openly declared he would never support the Russian government while it oppressed Jews. But Japan? Japan was different. Japan treated Jews fairly, and it was fighting Schiff's enemy. His gamble worked. With Schiff's backing, Japan gained credibility on global markets. Other investors followed his lead. Suddenly, Japan had all the cash it needed to keep the war going. Russia, isolated and bankrupt, had no such luck. The turning point. Armed with funds, Japan pressed forward. At Mukden, they crushed Russian forces. At Tsushima in 1905, their navy annihilated Russia's fleet, one of the most humiliating defeats in European history. And behind that victory stood Schiff, the banker who kept Japan's war machine alive. The Japanese emperor personally honored him with the Order of the Rising Sun, making Schiff a hero in Tokyo. Aftermath. Russia on the brink. For Russia, the loss was catastrophic. The myth of invincibility was shattered. Within months, the empire exploded in the revolution of 1905. Strikes, protests, mutinies. The Tsar survived for the moment, but his power was fatally weakened. Just 12 years later, the Romanovs would fall forever. As for Schiff, he had exacted his revenge, not with guns, but with finance. Legacy. Jacob Schiff's story proves wars are not only won on battlefields. They are won, all lost, in banks, on trading floors, in the quiet offices of men who never wear uniforms. His personal vendetta reshaped geopolitics. For Japan, his loans paved the way to great power status. For Russia, they marked the beginning of decline. Conclusion. Jacob Schiff may never have fired a shot, but with his pen and his checkbook, he dealt one of the most devastating blows ever to the Russian Empire. If you enjoyed this hidden history, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comment what other untold stories of power and revenge you want to hear next. Fade out.